All right. Today is Monday. We've got John O'Neill will be our trainer today. This is a guy that he has come to us from Hawaii. He came from Hawaii and made big changes in his life, and he has been very, very generous. He's put his money where his mouth is, not only to build his own business, but for us to build our business. He's done so much for us, and this morning he's here to train us and take us to the next level. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning, Ron. I'm doing well. Can you hear me all right?
You bet. Sound great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for hosting these every morning. We really appreciate you. And I want to welcome all of you that are here. These continue to grow every week with more and more people. I love being able to read your names and see who's joining us every week. And I've noticed a bit of a trend that there's quite a lot of individuals plugging in from other states that don't happen to live and work here in Utah. And so, I really love that you guys are, uh, you know, plugging into what we're doing here in Salt Lake City, and some of the amazing leadership and structure that we've built, I think has really helped us take our businesses to another level. And I know that many of you are also seeing some of those successes. So, just welcome. I just want to read them because I'm really excited you guys are all here. To Alex and Amanda and Brandon and Dan and Daryl and Dave and Joe, Joshua, Kanani, Kara, Kenny, Kevin, Landon, Maurice, Michael, Natalie, Ron, Ronnie, Roxy, Ryan, Sal Rodriguez, Samson, Seti, Sukrit, Susan, Wanda, Wendy, and Marcia. Welcome. So glad you guys are all here. All of you that are on the phone. We're going to dive into some training today that I think could really help you understand a concept that took me from making in 2010 and 2011. I made total, I made $22,000 in those 2 years. Those were the roughest financial years of my wife and I's life. Many of you know that 2010, my son Josiah had undergone cancer. We had wiped out our savings. We were in the hospital for most of that year, and we made just $10,000 in 2010 is what we actually filed. Now I did some side work and stuff, but it wasn't a lot more than that. And 2011 was a year that was only 12 or 14,000 for the same reason. In 2011, we bought a house. As I look back on my financials, every year since we started in Renatus, which was 2013, our income has doubled. And so when I came into Renatus in 2013, in January, we had just come back from our Make-A-Wish trip with my son, Josiah. He's now 9 years old and completely healed and doing fantastic. But when we started Renatus, we had just barely gotten past the chemotherapy, and we were still in the maintenance phase, and life was difficult and chaotic. And we had just done a Make-A-Wish trip, and I signed up in Renatus January 2013, and our Make-A-Wish trip was the first week of February 2013. We went to Disney World, and we came back, and we got to work. And as I got to work, there were some things that helped me. And what I want to speak to you about this morning is some of the things that I learned that have taken me from a place of, $40,000 to $50,000 income when I was working full time, to now very consistently $400,000 to $500,000 net income, plus real estate assets that are worth, many millions of dollars. So how did I do it? Well, I began to understand a principle. Two things I want to share with you today I think will help you push to the end of the year and set up well for 2018. The 4 levels of learning are an exercise to understand and something to always consider. They're basically in anything and everything that you do, whether it be business, life, sports, relationships, whatever. There's 4 levels of learning. The first one is that you don't know what you don't know. You just don't even know. until someone tells you. You don't know what you don't know, okay? The second is that you do know what you don't know. And then the third is that you know what you know. And the fourth and last level of learning is like the concept of driving your car. 98% of the things that we do every day are subconscious, right? We do not think about the fact that we need to breathe right now. That's a subconscious thing that's on autopilot in our life. And this fourth level of learning, you are proficient at this fourth level when it comes to breathing. It is that you know it and you don't have to think about it. You know and you don't think, okay? Now, when you look at Renatus, running a small business, sales, marketing, advertising, promotion, the steps of this business, most of us are familiar with them. Let me just cover them again, just so that we're all on the same page. Find the people, tell the story, build for events, and follow up. Those are the four skills to develop in this business that will get you to a place where you can be proficient. In each of those skills, you will need to develop and get better at how to find the people. So when I started out, I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't understand, concepts of lead generation, the fact that your list is really the lifeblood, if you will. Your list is the cash flow of your marketing business. You know how important we talk about cash flow, and we're always saying in our 4 pillars of wealth, if you want to build wealth, focus on cash flow. Well, if you want to build a sustainable marketing business in Renatus, focus on your list, right? My absolute best number one strategy for helping you build your list is to do a brain dump, right? A brain dump is taking everyone you know and dumping it into a spreadsheet, right? And then going to memoryjogger.com so that you can jog your brain so that you can think about here's my plumber. Who's my plumber now? And so you do 6 degrees of separation. By the time you dump everyone you know in your brain, everyone they know, and your social media, this list should be thousands of names. And then you filter it. You do not call that entire list. You filter it by laying out, okay, is this person, how do I know them? Are they an entrepreneur? Do they own their home? Do they complain about taxes? Have they recently had a major life shift? Okay, and each of these people gets a check next to their name. And if you've got people with 4 or 5 checks, you put them on your top 25 list. Top 25 list is the list you're going to work with your 5-star enroller. Okay? So you're going to simply make this list. That's the task. You don't know what you don't know. Make the list. Now you do know. And your enroller is at most likely at this point, they know what they know. Okay? And they're going to help you approach this list with the appropriate information. What I would recommend, if they own a home, is that you approach them from the standpoint of velocity banking. And what I want to show you is how myself and some other of the leaders that I've helped raise up and taught this concept are using velocity banking to move through the 4 levels of learning and take it from finding the people to telling that story to them to building for the event or the exposure, right? See, build for the event can also be build for the exposure. And the exposure could be a Zoom webinar that you draw on a whiteboard and show them velocity banking. You can share your screen and have them jump on to a Skype Zoom. Zoom is free, by the way. It's free for up to 50 people. We have a team account. It's like $15 a month. It can hold 200 people in a room, but the Zoom account is free. You could do a Marco Polo, which is a video app. There's lots of different ways you can share this information, but what you want to do is get proficient at it. So I had some friends of ours that were over at our home last night. Great people. And I had no intention to talk business with them whatsoever. They're friends of ours from church. They brought their kids over, and we were having dinner and some drinks, having a good time. And these are my wife's friends, and they're becoming my friends, right? And I wasn't in the business mode whatsoever at all. But my wife's friend, she was saying that they're looking at selling their home because they have a lot of equity in it, and they're considering selling their home, downsizing to a duplex, and freeing up some cash flow in their life. And I said, don't sell your house, don't kill the chicken. And she's like, what are you even talking about? I'm talking about a house. And no. So I had to explain, look, wealthy people, they don't stack up eggs, they buy chickens, and then don't kill the chicken. So then I had to back up and explain velocity banking in a verbal format with no help. And I did that. I did that last night. It took about 10 minutes. And I said, look, here's the things you need to understand. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. Look, here's the things you need to understand when you go about understanding the 4 levels of learning around velocity banking and how to use it to generate leads, how to use it to make the invite to an event, how to use it when you create an exposure around it, and then how to use it in the follow-up. Because each of those steps with velocity banking is something that you need to learn, right? And you might not have even known that you need to learn that. And welcome to the first level of learning. Now you know. The second level of learning is now you know what you don't know. And now we're going to focus on the third level of learning today, which is you know what you know. So what do you know about velocity banking? Well, probably the number one question I get when it comes to velocity banking is that people don't understand debt. So the way that I explain it to them in a verbal format is I say, look, velocity banking, it's math. It's not magic, it's math. And it's actually quite simple. What you really need to understand is that any loan structure, you're paying very high interest because it's front loaded. You can't access your money unless you kill the asset, unless you murder the chicken. You cannot access it. On a line, I say very simply put, when you use a line of credit, it's a different bank product that has a simple daily interest, and it adjusts every day, which reduces your principal the day you make a payment, which in effect reduces your interest. So daily interest is the key to a line, daily interest adjustment. And it pushes the balance down, which pushes down the interest. Second thing is that you have access to your money. And so if you took all of the resources of your life, your savings, your 401k, and everything you had, and you dumped it onto your loan, of course you would pay your loan off fast. People understand that. But no one does it because then you wouldn't have money to eat. You wouldn't have money for an emergency. So a line of credit is still just transferring debt, but the line of credit is a safety net that allows you to use all of your money 24/7 on your debt so that it pushes down the balance of your debt and you reduce interest cost. It's an interest reduction savings. If you can establish that a loan is incredibly high interest by explaining to them that the first 5 to 7 years of a loan, the 9/10 of what you're paying is interest, and it's a very simple formula to show them how that works. You just say, look at 1 month on your loan. If you're paying principal of $300 and you're paying interest of $900 on your loan, does that look like that snapshot of 1 month? Does that look like 4%? No, I don't think so. That's 300%. Look, I didn't graduate 10th grade math. I never finished intermediate algebra, but I know that that is 300%. And that's important, right? You got to tell people this stuff. So then you say, okay, so what makes a line different? Well, very simply put, on a line of credit, you can service the debt obligation monthly is serviced with a lot less cash because there's not front-loaded interest. Over here, it's super bloated. Over here, it's smaller. So on an interest-only line of credit, the payment is much less, and when you put more cash onto it, it pushes the principal down because the extra cash applies to principal reduction. That's all it is. So you let your money ride on your debt. What my wife and I do is we put our money on our debt for 29 days, let it ride, and then we make all of our payments on day 30, right? And that's what pushes our debt down. And all of our money goes into it. So then I just simply explain, when you put your money in a savings account, the bank doesn't leave it there, so you shouldn't put it there anyways. You should put it on the highest cost of your life. Use your money towards paying down debt. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I don't like debt. I want to pay it down. Yeah. Cool. Well, use all your money to pay down your debt. And then with that, that will free up the ability to acquire assets, because there's two phases of velocity banking. There's acquiring with the lines of credit, and then there's pay down. Right now, my wife and I are in an acquiring mode. We're getting to a place where we have 20 paid for homes. So right now we have 7, and we're pushing to 20 so that we'll have a consistent $20,000 plus revenue from just our real estate. So we're not aggressively paying our debt down. We're using lines of credit and stripping from one house to buy the next. And all of these things, these are all principles of velocity banking. How you get proficient at them is to understand the 4 levels of learning. So give me just 1 second. My 3-year-old just walked in with the dog. Miley, do you want to say hi to everybody? No, you don't want to? Okay, hold on just 1 second. I'm sorry. Pause. Come here, baby. Daddy's doing a webinar. Can you take Hunter out? Hunter, come. Come, Hunter, come. Mommy's upstairs. Thank you. Hey, sorry about that. It's one of the things I love about being an entrepreneur is I get to work from home and be with my kids. And sometimes they just come in and hang out. That was my 3-year-old Miley with the dog. So she just wanted to say hi. Anyways, 4 levels of learning. Where you learn this stuff is in your classes. Watch that class on velocity banking. Watch it. Understand it. Be able to explain mathematically to somebody, look, all you need to understand is that you have super high interest over here. You can't have access to your money. On a line of credit, it's simple. You can have access to your money. And if you take all of your debt and you put it into one place, let's say that you have the house, the car, the loan, all of it, and you have $200,000 of debt, student loan, all of it, and you can fit it into your house on a home equity line of credit, then you simply times that debt by 4%, which is the average line of credit, and you just do some quick math with them, quick and simple and basic, because a confused mind quits. If you're taking notes, please write that down. A confused mind quits. Do not confuse people. So $200,000 times 0.04 is a number that I don't have right now. 1, 2, 3 times 0.04 equals $8,000 a year. So this would be a good time to explain to people, look, APR is annual percentage rate, 4%, 8,000 a year is divided into 12 monthly payments. So divide that by 12. Divided by 12, your monthly payments will be $667 a month to service $200,000 in debt. $667 a month is an interest-only loan. Now, you then show them, if you took your mortgage, your car payment, your student loan, and you put it into a HELOC, how much cash flow would that increase in your life? Because what you're going to do with the extra cash flow is just apply it to the debt. your cash flow would go up, typically, always. And you just simply, let's say that freed up for simplicity purposes, let's say it freed up an extra $2,000 a month in cash flow. Take $200,000 is their total debt, divided by their new cash flow of $2,000, and they'll pay their home off, all their debt off in 200 months. 200 months is, what is that? Sorry, gosh, see, I'm not even that good at math, but I use it. I've gotten better at it. 200 divided by 12 is not the number I'm looking for. Thank you, Kevin. Actually, Kevin's corrected me there. 200,000 divided by 2,000 is 100 months, right? Divided by 12, it's like 8 years or something. 8 years, they'll pay off their home, their car, all of it. And then you just show them, look, when you do that, if you pay it off in 8 years, let's look at what that would take, how much interest that would save you on your loans. And you just pull up a simple Google amortization schedule, 200 grand, and you'll show them that it'll save them like $250,000 in interest. So that's how to introduce the concept of velocity banking in a simple format. And once that's an exposure that you just created. The follow-up, you guys, and this is what we'll end on today, is now collecting a decision. So stop selling, stop explaining, and at some point you must ask a closing question. Very simple. Wherever you are right now, I want you to say into your screen, so are you ready to get started now? Would you like to get started with this? When would now be a good time to get started? So let's get you going. Practice these closing questions. You explained, you showed an exposure, you found them, you told the story of how this is applied in your life, you created an exposure. Now ask them a closing question. If you're struggling with those, go to Grant Cardone's book. It's called The Closer's Survival Guide, and it's over 100 different types of closes. And as he says them in the audible format, say them as well. Learn how to do a close. And as you come to the end of this year, I want you to focus on closing the year out with incentive-based closes. Look, the tax close is massive for this time of year. Close them with the tax close. Look, you've got to start your small business now in 2017 so that you can go back and recapture all of the startup expenses for 2017. If you do not start your Renatus business in 2017, you will not get any tax benefit. Do the tax close right now. As you move into the beginning of the year, you're going to do the tax return close, which is, hey, you got a big return coming. What are we going to do with that? What are we going to do with your tax return? How are we going to apply that? There's always a close to use. And as you come into this next year, focus on the 4 levels of learning. Learn to be proficient at this one concept and use this one concept to not only find the people and create intrigue, but to tell the story of how it's applied to you and the people you know and share that with them, how to build for an exposure and expose them to velocity banking in a simple format, and then follow up with them and close it. And if you can develop those levels of learning and be at level 3 in January, you have the potential to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. This year, my wife and I cleared over $400,000 in our marketing income of Renatus. Next year, we'll do over $1 million because my income has consistently doubled every year. With that, make it a fantastic Christmas holidays with your family. Hope that you guys enjoy this week. This concept is so crucial when you're at your Christmas parties, when you're with your family. They don't want to flip houses necessarily, but they all want to pay down their debt. And if you can show them and explain them in a very verbal and simple format, then you'll create intrigue. They'll be interested. And just use math. Don't make it confusing. And you'll do fantastic. Have a great week. Merry Christmas to all of you. We'll see you next Monday. We won't see you next Monday because it's Christmas on Monday. We'll see you the one after that. All right. Thanks so much. We'll see you at the events. Have a great day, everybody.